Hello and welcome to another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and he's the professor, Russell Stevens, and he's JP's first son, Tim Howie. Oh, we have another great show for you tonight. So, boys, let's get it started. It's a very slow sports news
Nothing
day.
going on today. Yeah, we're gonna have to make this stuff up.
It didn't even know what it would look like, sound like when we hear the words Chaim is fired. But we have to go to Russell. We always start the show with Russell. Russell, we all wanted it. It's happened. Do we have any regret now? Do we feel bad that Chaim Bloom was fired as the Red Sox?
No, look, I think Chaim Bloom was one of the best directors of scouting in the draft in the farm system that the Red Sox have had over the last 30 years. But the guy was no GM.
He wasn't a GM.
No,
it was too big for him.
Too big. He couldn't put a Major League Baseball team on the field. He could draft and develop players. God bless him. He reestablished. The guy was in the wrong job.
Timmy, I had mentioned when his opening press conference when he was hired that it was pretty clear as far as dealing with the media that this was way big of a market for him, that he was ill prepared to deal with the media. Was he ill prepared to be the head guy, that we'll call him the general manager of the Red Sox?
I believe he was. We're not quite New York City, but we do have a pretty hungry sports media out there. It's a sports crazy region, and we have been spoiled. And we have had, a lot of very, very good writers and broadcasters in this area. They're not the St. Louis, hey, everything's good. We're in, what'd you have for lunch today, Chaim? I mean, there's some sharks there, and if they smell a weakness in the guy, they're going to, and he didn't perform. And I mean, that's what it was too. I mean, when you're winning, everything's great, right? When you're losing, everything sucks. And that goes with just about everything in life, right? So yeah. He was terrible at his job. We had a little brief brush with Glory there, but other than that, it was mostly negative. And it's tough to be friends with the media when all they're asking you is, why are things going wrong?
Joe, look, during the interview process, it was pretty clear they told Chaim Bloom, if we hire you, you're going to have to trade one of the greatest players in the history of the Red Sox in Mookie Betts. So he took that job knowing what he had to do, but yet he didn't get even closer to the return that he should have from Mookie Betts if you had to trade him.
Well, no, he was way over his head. He didn't know anyone else in the business. He was an assistant to an assistant at Tampa Bay. He was never anywhere in the front office until his final year there. He just wasn't one of the guys. He didn't know anyone in the business, so he couldn't have made a good trade or an equitable trade for the Red Sox because he was just a lamb among wolves.
All right, Russell, other than the Mookie Betts deal, let's throw out the Mookie Betts deal. We have talked, so everyone's talked ad nauseum about it. I'm tired of hearing about it. How did Chaim Bloom fail the Red Sox?
I think it's simple. He doesn't value defense at all, and he either doesn't value or just is incapable of putting together a starting rotation. And when you talk about teams that win from year to year, it's what have we talked about many times? It's pitching and defense. You got to have it. You can't have bad pitching and you can't have bad defense. One goes with the other. And he clearly didn't care about defense, just didn't value it, and really made a bunch of really bad decisions in terms of the starting rotation that left us with guys who pitched 4 innings.
Yeah, that's
got one legitimate starter now. Bayo.
One starter.
Going into next year, one starter.
Pop quiz. Who was the opening day starter for the Boston Red Sox this year?
Corey Kluber.
That's all you need to know about Chaim Bloom.
Corey Kluber.
Right.
That's literally all you need to know about Chaim Bloom.
And he showed nothing in spring training to win a job.
So, Timmy, we never had a chance. This was a lost season, like Russ said with Corey Kluber. opening day start. It was a lost season before it even started.
Yeah, you know, I wonder how much of what he did was just following his marching orders. Get the payroll down, get in the middle of the pack on the payroll, get way under the luxury tax, and build the farm system.
But he screwed up. But he screwed up the payroll last year. He didn't get under the luxury tax. And
yeah, that's true. So,
we
he
talk about-
failed on many. But I wonder if those were his marching orders, though. And so he failed. He failed getting under the luxury tax last year. But their payroll is 80,000 less. I think 60 million or 80 million less than it was a year ago, I believe.
They're 11th this year.
Look, to me, the Chaim Bloom lost me in that inexplicable deal, the Hunter Renfroe deal that he did like minutes before they went to a lockout, as if there was some immediate need to do this. He traded Hunter Renfroe, who was actually a perfect fit for the Red Sox.
A
I know
good
he had a
defensive
bad
player.
ALCS.
Yeah, no, I
but-
mean, a bad one.
Scotty, are you forgetting the Jackie Bradley deal?
No, but that is the deal.
There was
See,
the one in the
the
same
one-
deal.
That's the
No,
deal.
that was the deal.
That's the
The
deal.
one
So-
that was the same deal. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's
That
the
was
deal.
just the most ludicrous effing deal that was ever made in history of baseball, possible.
But that put them, we don't talk about that, but that put him, Russ, over the luxury tax last year because he was paying Jackie Bradley.
12 million.
Yeah. It doesn't make any, to Tim's point, even if those were his marching orders, he couldn't follow the orders, Timmy. If the marching order was to trade Mookie Betts, he did the wrong deal. If the marching order was get the salary below the luxury threshold, he fouled that up last year too.
Yeah, right. So his attention to detail was a failure also.
Horrible.
But that's
Horrible.
where
And by the way, I'm gonna irritate you guys even more because I just read this that Rob Bradford has revealed today that Bloom had the opportunity last year to trade Chris Sale while on the IL and dump the remainder of his contract in return from players, but he declined because the baseball ops group didn't like the deal well enough. If you gave me Timmy's used jockstrap from high school hockey for
Oh
Chris
my
Sale, I
God.
would have been like,
And if
Done.
they take the contract, oh, yes. Get
Did
rid
he
of
think? Did he actually think he would get something in return for that contract?
okay,
I mean,
this is what I was going to say. We know the Red Sox, and they're already starting. They fired Chaim Bloom. Now
Yeah.
it's the
they're coming out with it,
propaganda
right?
that
Yeah.
they're
Now
gonna
the knives
trash
have
him.
come out right in
They're
the
gonna-
back.
What is he going to have, a drug problem before 9 o'clock tonight?
But do you?
What were the flies on? If you were a fly on the wall? What would you have heard in that Red Sox war room when that Sale trade offer was presented? Were the people that were surrounding Chaim, were they saying take it, and he was the only one saying
I don't
no?
believe it. I believe that's a complete and utter lie. First of all, that would
You might be right, but I just
Rob
love it. It's
Bradford
just
is.
like he's the house organ, right?
Yes.
yeah, but he's
Propaganda,
pissed
right.
off because that Carabas totally chumped him big time.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
you would think that Carabas is the mouthpiece of the ownership now. He's totally
Yeah.
number one. I mean,
Well, he's got the most media recognition now. That's why they go to
Yeah.
him.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Carabas is across 6 different mediums,
yeah.
whereas Rob Bradford's just a radio guy.
And Alex Spears.
I
just
didn't mean to
getting
get us. I
everybody's
didn't mean to
coffee.
get us. You're right. I didn't mean to get us off track, but like
I can't even go there. I can't believe
he
it.
couldn't. But ultimately, even if he got the marching orders, he couldn't execute well enough with the orders that he was given, and so he had to go, even if they were marching orders.
And also, he overvalued every player when he was trying to trade JD Martinez, the Evaldes of the world last year, and even Xander. Apparently, he was asking for the moon, and so he
Guys.
didn't know how to make a trade.
Oh, and they said one of the reasons why he was fired at the trade deadline this year, he supposedly had deals lined up for these veterans, and management and ownership said, "Go ahead, pull the trigger," and he didn't pull the trigger.
Second year in a row, JD Martinez and Nathan Evaldi, who both left,
Yep.
could have been traded at the last year's trade deadline. He hangs on to them. They walk for nothing,
Xander.
right?
Xander.
Right? Guys, even minor things. Matt Barnes, he signed to an expensive. He he could not properly read the market for his own players or for other players. We've talked about this a zillion times. He routinely misread the market.
Yeah. He's out of
I
his.
mean, he
Well,
probably could
he
have.
could also have been getting bad information. I got bad information
But
from
whose fault
inside
is
here.
that, Joe? He's
Yeah,
the head of the
it's
organization.
ultimately his fault. But maybe someone else should have gone with him.
Well, Halloran, I'm surprised that didn't go with him, Timmy. I know he's your relative, but I'm shocked that he didn't go with him.
He's the one. He's the contract guy.
I read an old article in the Globe about Halloran. I mean, that guy started out working for free for the Red Sox, charting pitches for the White Sox games. They come in at midnight. He was a part-time teacher in the Boston public school systems. He had just come back from the Ukraine. I mean, he worked his way up there, and he was always his traditional role. There was looking over the fine points of contracts, and he was an expert on the cap and things like that. So was he put over his head? Possibly, but they value what he brings to the table over there, and I think, and there might be some personal things going on there too that
they stripped him of his title today. They stripped him of his title.
Yeah.
So the head of baseball operations and the general manager positions, which used to be one of the same, now they made it
I don't
separate.
even know. I got to tell you the truth. I don't even think he cares what his title is over there. I think he just loves doing what he does.
Well, Sam Kennedy being the only guy up front today, and ownership hiding wherever on their boats or something, was an embarrassment today. Embarrassment because, first of all, Sam Kennedy's not prepared to ever handle any type of question like that, and that Sam Kennedy's the only guy out there when they just fired Chaim Bloom. It's a clown show over there right now as far as ownership.
Yeah, Sam Kennedy should just be. If it's the press conferences about ticket sales, you bring Sam Kennedy in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's the marketing director. He's the president, but he's basically in charge of marketing.
Russ, it's pretty clear he talks the way what he thinks people want to hear.
Yeah, he's the mouthpiece for the owners. He's the Roger Goodell of the for the NFL owners for the Red Sox, right? He's just representing their interests, right? He's just saying words. But the problem that they have right now is that they right now the GM of the Red Sox is a 3-year job, 4-year job. That's it. That's all you got. So how are you going to attract? How are you going to attract the best and the brightest? Right. 4-year job, 3-4 years.
I've got 4. The last 3 guys have been 4 years. How many was Theo?
I don't know. He had a lot, right? I mean, he came in.
The job still has to have some cachet out.
Oh, big time. Especially
at least Sherrington and Dombrowski won World Series titles.
And they still got fired. That's a great point, Russ. They still got the hooks. Look, the next GM here is going to gain a nice farm system. Some considered top 5. He's going to gain some good young players in the 25-man roster. He's going to gain flexibility. What type of GM do you want to see? Do you want to see an old Dave Dombrowski type? Do you want to see a young guy? What do you want to see?
I think the Red Sox will continue with they like going with a young guy. That's what they tried with Chaim, and they failed. They didn't realize that he didn't know what he was doing.
I think they have there's a couple of guys, Antonelli and this kid Gomez, both from Massachusetts, or I think maybe he's from Rhode Island, the other one. But I think a local boy works. I think someone has to understand this market more.
It's got to be a baseball guy because he's got to get pitching. He's got to get a lot of pitching. 4 or 5 starters, and 3 or 4 more bullpen guys. That's a lot of pitching you got to acquire in one off season.
Let's go back to what Joe was talking about earlier when we were talking about the Betts trade. Bloom did not have enough relationships in the league where he could just pick up the phone and call the guys who really call the shots for the different teams around the league. Now, seeing that and how it failed, bring a young guy like Bloom in who didn't have any established relationships in the league, would you want to do that again? Bring in that type of guy who is basically starting from the ground up and earning a reputation in the league and when it comes to trading players?
They just chose the wrong guy. Before they chose a young guy in Theo Epstein, but he was a guy well-versed in their roster, in their culture, in their club. That's why he was successful as a young phenom, and Chaim was a failure.
But Joe, you said that Bloom didn't have any relationships in the league.
He hadn't even been an assistant GM until the last year, the year before they hired him. Remember, the Dodgers hired the GM,
Right, Andrew Friedman,
and he got promoted to
Yeah.
assistant GM for 1 year. He might have been
Right.
he might have been in charge of catering or something the year before. There's no, he really didn't have time to establish any
I'll be right
network
back.
around
look.
the league or around both leagues.
All right, Russ,
You know-
what kind of guy do you want?
Well, you know what? I mean, I have a very specific thing that I want to see done, and it's not like I won't be happy unless they do it. But I think it has to seriously be considered. I think they should do what the Celtics did with Brad Stevens, which is take your coach, who clearly has the baseball knowledge, has the relationships, and has a way better understanding about how to evaluate the players in the organization right now and in the market. And that's Alex Cora. And you promote Alex Cora to GM because no one knows this situation, his team in the market better. Bring in an old hand GM like they did with LaJoie way back when to help Cora through the mechanics of being a GM.
Bench coach
Right. Bring a bench coach in exactly, Scotty. Bring a bench coach in for Cora, promote Veritek to manager, and off we go, because we have a bunch of human beings who know the Boston market, who know these players better than anyone else on the outside is ever going to know them. And you may get 3 to 4 years out of Cora of, understanding of the market and of his team. I think it's the thing to do.
And Cora has all the contacts from being in the media,
absolutely,
being a player, being a manager.
Absolutely.
In fact, he was the general manager of the Puerto Rican team, I believe.
Yep.
And so he's got contacts all around both leagues, in the media and in the league offices. So he is
he's ready to go.
He's probably the correct choice.
Timmy, you could argue
knowing how the Henrys lean, let's put it that way, could you see them bringing a female in to do this job?
Wow.
Sure. I don't know that, I'm not sure. Like, they've got the person Raquel, I don't know her last name. I don't know the last name.
Yeah.
Maybe she could do it, or maybe she's the GM, and if like Cora got promoted to be the head of baseball operations, that's a good point, Timmy.
Yeah. There'll definitely be rumors of that. They'll definitely throw stuff out to me. Yeah, you're absolutely
right. She could get Halloran's job.
Look, the irony is that Alex Cora is more prepared to be the general manager of the Red Sox than Brad Stevens was to be the general manager of
I
the
totally
Celtics.
agree.
I mean, it's just
but Brad doesn't have a whole minor league system. He only has a 15-man roster, not a 25. And the contracts are pretty much set in stone in the NBA. You're going to get this, and this.
That's why, Joe, that's why you bring someone in, or Halloran's still there. Halloran's still there. Can still do the contract stuff.
You need like Scotty said, the bench coach.
Yeah, I think Halloran is a great, dot the I's, cross the T's, fine print guy. Are we giving Cora? Brad Stevens is a super smart guy. Super smart. Like he's a smart guy. Does Cora have that level of intelligence that Brad Stevens has?
I think he's got a pretty high level of baseball intelligence, and that the organization loves him.
Ownership is very fond of him. I know that.
Okay, I agree with you guys, everything you're saying, but then Kennedy, I mean, you have to listen to what he said. He said they had problems with the on-field management. I mean,
Yeah.
he ripped into Cora today. Simply enough, they said that there was a failure on the on-field personnel.
Yeah.
Well,
You like
that's what
Cora.
Sam is going to say
But they
because they're not going
also-
to say it was his fault.
But didn't they ask him whether he thought Cora would be the manager next year? He said yes. So you're gonna hire a new head of baseball operations and not let him pick a coach, a
Yeah.
manager?
I thought he was vague
Can't
about
do
that.
that.
Yeah, of course. Look, they hire him. Yeah, the head guy is going to take Cora out. There's no question he's going to bring in his own guy. I mean, there's no reason to keep Alex Cora. Why? You're going to want to have a relationship with a guy that you know and that you trust, right?
And
Yep.
you know that Cora had an antagonistic relationship with the last GM. So, if you're going into this, you'd be kind of warned about him.
But also, you read the papers too. Are you going to keep Cora where he could be your replacement?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, you're not going to do that, right? Because if they
No.
fire this guy,
No, look, I don't think Cora's back as manager next year. I think his only job in the org would be to move it up into the front office.
That's a much better job, too. You get to stay at home.
Of course.
While the other guy's on the road
Right.
90 days a year or something.
you got to deal with all those
Can't
players.
beat that.
You have to deal with Alex Verdugo on a daily basis. Oh my God. Who the hell wants to do that? Even Veritek may not take that job if he has to deal with
No.
Czech has always said he doesn't want the job, unfortunately. I know you've been lobbying for this for 10
I don't
years.
know. Have they ever offered him the job?
Do they have a uniform big enough for him? That's what
Oh, Timmy, off the top rope. Your Catherine Veritek's not going to be very happy with you, Timmy.
Catherine,
You're going to get
Hey,
tweeted about
hey,
tomorrow.
One
It started with
guy-
all those
fat-
pizzas.
Fat ball guys can talk about other fat ball.
Okay, new guy comes in. He has no loyalty to any of these players. I think the biggest story, I really do believe the biggest story as far as the current personnel is what you do with Rafael Devers, the highest paid player in the history of Boston sports. Could he go under new management? Could he be peddled?
No, in my
yes.
opinion, he should be made the DH. That's it.
But they're not
Put him in
paying.
DH.
They're not
Well,
gonna-
that's
too big of a
I know.
contract.
Yoshida.
I know.
Yeah.
They're not doing that.
It's
He's
funny.
either
If
the-
you look at the defensive metrics, Yoshida is the same as Devers.
I know. That's why.
Yeah,
he's
I
not
think
going
That's why
anywhere.
they're both DHs.
I think you give him one more year and you basically got to have a come to Jesus and just say, you got to get yourself into shape. You got to spend a ton of time in this offseason working on your defense, because if you can't do it, you're gonna have to change positions or we're going to change teams.
Russ, do you think he
Right?
cares? You think he cares?
Yes, I think he does. I don't think he's a bad guy.
Yeah, he's not. No, yeah.
I've seen nothing that would suggest that. I think Joe said it. It's human nature. He let himself go a little bit, and he never really got ahead of the sticks this year. And
You can't
he's
get in shape
embarrassed.
during the season. You can't get in
You
shape.
can't.
He stuck up for the team at the trade deadline and said,
Yeah.
why isn't this guy getting us pitching?
yeah, I think he's
He
embarrassed.
called out Heim. He was the
Yeah.
leader on that team.
Do you think the current roster is happy that Heim is gone?
Well, half of them owe their job. Half of them owe their jobs to him, right? I mean,
Trevor
Well-
Story's not.
He's not what?
He's not.
You
happy
got
he's
a nice,
gone. I mean,
financial-
got a nice little financial hoo-ha from.
I mean, we got
Yeah.
we got more middle of the pack major leaguers on this roster than you can shake a stick at. That might not have jobs if we didn't have them.
But it's an exciting time. It's actually a very exciting time, and it really brings some kind of positive energy to the Red Sox, which you say, because now here comes the unknown, and everyone gets excited about that, right?
Yeah.
And I got to say this: when those owners put their mind to it, when they can focus on it and say this is important to them, they have shown that they do have the ability to hire the right person sometimes.
Well, I think
And
it's
I saw something today, Scotty, that when they won their 4 world championships, they were second in payroll twice, number 1 in payroll once, and 4th in payroll the other
Yeah.
time.
It's
So
a great point, Joe.
when they spent, they won.
It's it reminds me of a point where somehow either the narrative or Bloom got the message that you either rebuild the farm system or you put the best possible team on the field. And the thing about the Boston Red Sox is you can do both.
Yes.
There's no reason that they can't do what they did and then go out and buy players. And we've already talked about this. They're not that far away, but you've got to go spend seriously for 2 starting pitchers. And I'm talking starting pitchers who can pitch 7 innings, not
Now,
4.5.
Russ, Russ, you probably know the answer to this. Maybe Scotty does. Does their finishing in last place really affect their bottom line in a big way?
Oh, yeah.
Well, look,
The
the
Nets
fact
and
is-
ratings are in the tank.
Yeah,
fact
the
is, of
ratings are
course
in the
it does.
tank.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
remember, they're competing against the Celtics, Patriots, and Bruins for all that money, all the corporate money, all the marketing money, all the luxury box seats, all that signage and stuff. So when they finish in last place 2 years in a row, that affects the bottom line in so many ways. But it's positive, guys, because either Blake Snell or that Asian guy will be the starting pitcher on opening day next year. You can guarantee one of those 2 guys is coming here. They have to. It's a Manny Ramirez deal.
They got to
have
get at
do
least
it.
4 starters, 4 legitimate
No,
starters.
I don't know about 4 starters, Joe. I mean, there's
Well, who are they going to have other than Brian
what
Bale?
team has 4 legitimate starters in baseball?
Well, no, I mean, they need to find guys that can give you a quality start, can go 5, 6 innings. They didn't have anyone besides Bale.
That's another thing that Chaim Bloom failed. He had nobody in Worcester who can come and make a spot start. No one. He had not one guy.
They were doing openers twice a week for most of the season.
If you were to say, what do I think the catalyst for actually getting rid of him was, it was how bad the pitching staff went south over the past 3 weeks and how clear it was that the guy had no clue on how to build a pitching staff. No plan B.
Jimmy,
He just
would you
didn't.
call him lazy?
And a very poor plan A.
I thought, to be honest with you, a lot of the way he acted was lazy. I don't feel like he gave the greatest effort to give the best team out on the field. Because a lot of this stuff you can pick up veterans, all the time, and he didn't go about doing this stuff that built a 25-man roster and built organizational depth in AAA.
And all he did in the farm system was hoard. He just wouldn't trade anyone in it. And 90%, 95% of the minor league system is never going to be a major leaguer.
Oh my God,
you got to trade some of these guys.
He has so many duplicate skill sets in the minor leagues, you would not believe it. The Alex Benellises and the Nick Cavardases. He's got more guys who are like 6'1", 280, who can't move, who bat 220. I mean, the whole system is littered with these guys, and he salivated over them. So the system has some great players, but it doesn't have a lot of great players. So look, it's almost a situation now where what is our expectations for next year, no matter who we acquire?
Mine are high.
We've said it. We have to get better pitching, right? We have to get pitching. Is the next focus defense? We have to improve defense, right?
Yeah.
Pitching won't get better until the defense behind them gets better.
Can this team compete next year?
Not as presently constituted.
Well, no, but you put two good starting pitchers into that rotation with Bayo, and then you piece the rest of it together. You should have a decent bullpen. Yeah, I mean, I want Houck and Whitlock and Jansen and all the and Martin in the bullpen. You'll have a great bullpen, but go get enough starting pitchers so you're not messing around with Houck and Whitlock in the rotation.
Does this change the scenario in the outfield and DH? Does is Justin Turner more likely and Duvall to leave now, or does it matter that Chaim Bloom is gone, or he brought them in there?
I don't think they owe anything to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
They would make their decision based on what other teams, like in Turner's case,
Yeah.
what other teams are offering him.
Yeah.
If he can make a
Yeah.
good score in his 39th year, he will, because there's no more chances for him.
there's also no loyalty to Mayer. Mayer could go in a trade now. All of a sudden, you bring in a new guy, he doesn't care that this wasn't his draft pick. I think this is going to be a very interesting offseason.
Yeah.
That might get you one of the starting pitchers.
Yeah, if you had now, would you trade Mayer for a 36-year-old top of the lineup pitcher? Top of the
No,
lineup.
I'm not trading him for Verlander.
No.
I'm trading him for a guy like 28 that has a future.
Yeah, and that you've got under contract too. You're going to trade Mayer. You're only going to trade Mayer for a number one starter.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there an age limit on that number one starter?
26.
I don't know, 28. I mean, I think it's something like that.
Because Rafaela can play shortstop for you.
You might pull it for like a Kirby.
Yeah. I don't think Mayer's going anywhere. I don't think you need to trade Mayer you
can put together a nice package of three or four prospects that teams like Kansas City and Pittsburgh would salivate over. That was my point about the Mookie trade. If Kansas City makes that trade, they're happy as pigs and shit. They got two starters for cheap in Wong and in Verdugo. With us, they're just two guys. They're not stars.
Yeah.
So all right. Given all this, let's pick a couple guys. Is Alex Verdugo a Red Sox next year?
No,
I think so.
No, because Chaim has no obligation. I mean, Chaim was probably saying, "Well, if I trade Verdugo, the Mookie trade looks even worse."
They'll bring that up and they'll slap
we
me.
let him walk. Is Jaron Duran a Red Sox next year?
Oh, great question, Timmy.
I say, yeah. As much as I dislike him personally, I think the guy has some tools. He's something to build around.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah, but that's interesting. Other than Cassis, he's their best hope for the future, including Devers. I think Duran can bring more to, Devers has the power, but Duran's no slouch there either. I bet you he could hit 25 home runs.
Is Trevor Story a Red Sox next year?
No, Russell, you answer your own question.
I believe Duran will be here. Yeah, because they won't get enough for him. If Duran had continued, but between the mental health stuff and another injury, I think you're not trading him at his peak value.
But he's a special talent if he stays healthy.
Yeah, he's a special talent. I wouldn't how I felt about. I wouldn't trade Duran. I think you see how high his ceiling can be
because he's something.
Trevor Story.
He's still here, Russ, because you can't get anything in return for him.
Okay, so you think Story's still here?
Oh, Timmy? Yeah, and to be fair, he's been a very steadying influence at shortstop. He's not throwing the ball away. He's very Xander-like there. Makes the plays. He's no defensive whiz, but he makes the plays when they come to him.
Timmy, Trevor Story, stay or go?
50-50. I really I don't think you can get enough for him to get rid of him.
Yeah, Russell.
Probably right. Yeah, I Joe and Timmy, I think you're probably right. He's hitting $196?
Yeah, aging veteran with a big contract and can't hit 200.
Well, I think it's a situation where that you might have a couple of teams that really like him. It'd be a salary dump. It wouldn't be for any kind of
and they shouldn't be dumping salary. Yeah, and they should not be dumping salary. They don't need to dump salary.
But first of all,
he doesn't hurt you in the field. He's one of the few that don't hurt you in the field.
I wish I never heard what you said.
Story has shown that he's capable of hitting. Right? I mean, he's capable of hitting.
He's capable of
he's been here
for a couple of weeks. But we've seen him carry a team that one period of time. He can carry a team for a couple of weeks. So I think he's going to get his shit together as far as hitting in a new season. And he's a nice player. He tries to, he's a good shortstop. He steals bases. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Trevor Story being the starting shortstop. Do you guys?
So, Scotty, last question for you then. What position does Yoshida play next year?
He has to be a DH, and then you can fit him in to fill in. I think it's going to be Rafaela at center. I think Duran's going to be in right.
Yeah,
and then
find a left fielder.
Who's in left field?
Find one. Duvall or somebody.
Turner or Duvall?
No, Turner can't play the left field. Jesus,
it's not Duvall either. I think you just.
I think.
Yeah, Duvall was a right fielder almost all his career.
Well, you can play Duran in left and put Duvall in right too.
I think you'd be wasting Duran's range in left field at Fenway.
Is this a Abreu kid? He looks good. I tell you something.
I like him. I got to say, I like him.
He's got a pretty good arm. You see that throw the other night? Holy smokes!
You know who he reminds me of is
maybe he's right field.
He reminds me of Brantley,
really?
who I love. I've loved forever. Guy from Houston.
I would I think you'd have him, Joe, as a fourth outfielder to start the year, and if he comes on, give him more and more at bats.
Yeah, right? I to tell you the truth, I like him in replace, and I like Rob Refsnyder. We love our subs. We love our subs around here, but I think Abreu has a much higher upside, and a much better future than Rob Refsnyder does.
Yeah, and then so
he's probably cheaper.
You give Heim his props in that one. That was a pretty damn good deal to get Abreu and Valdez, who I think probably gets moved in the offseason.
Well, I do have one more. I do have one more. Is Chris Sale a Red Sox next year?
Oh,
I hope not.
Can I just say something? I cannot believe you told me about the Rob Bradford thing. I'll never forget that. I need that to be confirmed that was he was hacked or that's a phony rumor, because that's so crazy. Seriously. That can't be possible, right? There's no way. Why would a team have offered that?
If you've somehow convinced yourself that Sale looks good, and if he comes back, he could be everything that they did all year long, Scotty, suggested that they expected Chris Sale to come back as at least a number 2 starter.
Yes.
It's the only rationale for what they did.
Okay, then that's right. So
I heard Sam Kennedy say that in his press conference before him and Whitlock and Hout came back from the IL.
So we're supposed to think right now that Chris Sale has value and that you can trade Chris Sale.
No,
but that's what those idiots thought.
But obviously there was an idiot out there who thought that they wanted him, according to Bradford.
All it takes is one idiot to buy your crappy house.
Look at the Xander Bogart contract. It only took,
that's a good one. I never heard that's very good.
It only took one idiot to offer Mookie Betts an 11-year deal, right? I mean Xander Bogaerts, right?
Right. It's true.
Well, look, acquiring reacquiring Jackie Bradley Jr. and paying him $25
complete failure here.
More ridiculous than acquiring Chris Sale. Would you agree?
When I heard about the Jackie Bradley trade, that was right up there with like moments that I remember in my life, I hate to say it, but when Len Bias died, and
my God,
like
Timmy,
that,
Jesus!
No, I don't want to go too far. But
but just the fact that it had such an impact on you is quite something.
Well, when you heard they traded for Jackie Bradley Jr., the worst hitting guy in the major leagues, with a ridiculous contract, he just went like, what?
It was unanimous. Usually trades, people are 50-50 about it. But I didn't know a single person that thought that was even remotely a good trade.
I think it's one of the top 10 worst trades of all time for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
It's 2 of the top 10 worst trades.
They got someone else, didn't they?
Red Sox got Alex Pinellas and David Hamilton, minor league prospects.
Hamilton
can't play at all. Horrible, trash. Get rid of them. But let's take the one step forward with Chris Sale. Did they just cut him?
They'd
No, because
still
you
have
still
to
got to
pay
use
him.
contract. So there's no like stretch provision like there is in the NBA. So, I think if they can't deal him, then they probably say you're the fifth starter. Or you're gonna be a long reliever or whatever. But I mean, you don't get anything for
that would be
cutting a guy.
right. Treat him like a spot starter, long reliever.
Yeah,
Bring him in
right.
blowouts
How
and
many years?
show
How
him
many years? How
what
many
he
years?
really brings to the Red Sox.
How many years
What's he got?
left on
Two
his
more after
contract?
this? Is it
No,
two
it's
more or
one more
one
year.
more after this?
One
I
more
think
year.
next year's the last year. I'm afraid.
All right.
I'm
Well,
hoping.
thank
I'm
God.
hoping. I'm hoping.
That's where I think they could probably swallow. I think it's about 30. I think if they swallowed like 22.
Maybe you're right, Scotty. They could also trade him and retain a bunch of the contract,
Yeah,
right?
that's what they probably do. I think they need to
Yeah,
get him
you're
on the
probably
floor.
right.
No one's going to
Yeah.
eat that for
He's-
them.
He's probably, I think the whole clubhouse is sick of him too. I'm pretty sure Cora is sick of him too. Everybody, if we're sick of his act, inside the walls, they're sick of it too. Because he's a phony tough guy. But look, this has made. We weren't even going to talk about the Red Sox today, to be honest with you, right? We're lamenting that we're eating Yankees Red Sox tickets, all four of us, for this week.
I didn't eat them. I got $20 a piece for them.
There you go.
Good for
Amazingly.
you.
All right, you buy the next beer because the rest of us ain't eating
was
them.
rained out. My game was rained out and canceled to like the next afternoon.
Yeah, no. So we other than the $20 that Russ got, we're chomping on those Yankee Red Sox tickets. And again, remember the Yankees Red Sox, they were only playing each other at home twice. So
Yeah,
I mean,
they only played 10 games, no more than 19 with the
these
balance.
were supposed to be the most valuable tickets of our package this year. Were supposed to be this week, and they completely. I mean, this should have been a big. These should have been big games.
Going for $1, $1, $1. They were going for.
Yeah. So no, I think this is first of all, it makes Russell happy, and when Russell's happy, we're all happy.
No kidding. Thank God.
But this is a reboot for the Red Sox. I think it's a nice situation. They've moved on. I heard someone say historically with the Dombrowskis and whatever, maybe even Cherington too, that they like to fire their general managers in September. And I had heard that a while ago. And whoever said it was right, because that's what he meant in the middle of September. So it's exciting. I'm glad.
If the Red Sox don't turn it around and they finish last or at the bottom again next year, what's the state of the Red Sox?
Well, nothing, because they'll have a new general manager, so he's not going anywhere.
They very well could. They very well could.
That would mean to me that the young guys didn't pan out, and that would make me sad, right?
You can't allow that to happen. You have to bring in Blake Snell. I mean, if I'm Snell's and the Asian guys, pitchers agent, I'm very happy right now because there's a lot of teams that need these guys on their roster now. So it's going to be a major bidding war.
Oh, and I heard the Mets have the inside on the Japanese guy. It looks like they're going to go all in.
They always say that Cohen's a big,
and they usually do. They don't mind spending.
He's a big.
Now, how much for the Yankees coming in last place affect what the Red Sox are going to be up against going after the top guys? Are they going to go out there on another spending?
The Yankees already did that with Rodon and stuff. I don't know.
If they got to cut payroll. They got to get rid of the Stantons and them that have been dragging them down.
Yeah, I don't know if Yankees are going to be huge competitors. Look, the Red Sox have to spend money. They got money. They have to spend money. But we'll talk about it. We got to go to the Patriots. First of all, we figured they would lose to the Eagles. We didn't know how it was going to look. Frankly, let's talk about the defense right now. We knew the defense would be good, and it's validated completely. This is, if they stay healthy, a top 5 defense.
Certainly seems like it.
Right? I mean, I just, first of all,
I mean, the kid. How about White? Did you see White going up against Lane Johnson? Some of those clips. Holy smokes!
He's literally like an AI robot of some sort. Like they just built him out of he just drives through these guys like they don't exist.
Yeah, Lane's a little too long in the tooth, I think, for this young buck coming in at him.
And Gonzalez he's a
He
stud.
had a very good game. Peppers, I thought, had an excellent game in the secondary. But
That
the
was
one thing that's going wrong for this game, all 5 starters on the offensive line are on the injury
Yeah,
list.
that's going to be rough.
All 5.
Yeah. Let's go to the defense first. I just thought, look, Mac had a pick 6, so there's 7 points. Elliott fumbles, there's another 7 points.
That was
I mean,
3.
3. Okay, so that's 10. I just thought that they played real well, and then they played, which last year's team did not do. When they needed a stop, they got it.
Yeah. Oh, especially in the second half, they kept giving the offense good field position and good stops.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially in the fourth quarter. Those were 2 big stops. The turnover that Peppers caused and the stop. But we need second and third quarter, Mac, not first and fourth quarter, Mac. That's for
Well,
sure.
Joe, the other, they've historically had trouble, and I think, Joe, you pointed this out the last time we spoke, with running quarterbacks. And Hurts is, if nothing else, is a running quarterback, and they actually played well against a running quarterback. That's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
The big stat that jumps out at me is Mac Jones has never won a game where he's had to score more than 25 points. Never.
Yeah, but I thought he played pretty well, to be
He
honest.
played good, but he can't get over that hump, the 25-point hump.
Yeah. The fourth quarter, I mean, that was, he was given golden opportunities
Well,
to win that game.
Joe Butte, he made a great pass.
Oh, yeah. Butte was stupid. That was twice he did it.
And by the way, Bourne played a good game, but that pass that he dropped, I mean, he was he dove for it, but was right in the breadbasket. He catches that ball, they're going to win that game.
And Bourne
long pass down the middle.
That pass that became the pick 6. I mean,
Oh, that was
although I didn't think that was a good pass, though.
I think that this 25-point thing is a big hurdle that he has to overcome.
I think you're right, Timmy. He's got to show it. He's got to show it.
He's got to go out there and score, have a 30-plus point game.
And he's only come from behind once.
Yeah, there's like that invisible line that he doesn't seem capable of crossing yet. And I think once he crosses it, he might be okay. But it seems like there's like a governor on like what he's capable of producing in any game.
He did step up into the pocket in that second quarter. Wasn't he? He was doing the right thing. And then in the fourth quarter, he started retreating again.
Look at all 3 of you guys coming around to my boy Mac.
No. Then what did he do in the fourth quarter? What did he do in the fourth quarter? He started
Scotty's showing great maturity tonight.
You look like Joe Frazier against George Foreman.
Look, I thought he looked great in the second and third quarter, and I thought he did look. Look, the wide receivers fucked him up. I mean, and Schuster, they made him unplayable the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
apparently the number 1 receiver they want to cut.
Obviously, this coaching staff is going to have a more positive impact than what we saw last year. That was obvious in this game that they had the game plan was far superior to anything. Like just the touchdown pass to Bourne. How many times did you even see them try that last year?
Yeah.
Well,
the big news coming out of Patriots camp today is that they've lost complete confidence in Schuster. And
really,
they're saying he's not a number 1. He's not a number 2, not a number 3. Wow. And remember, they didn't play him in the fourth quarter. I mean, he was the big acquisition. So we're talking about
slot receivers. Bourne's a slot receiver. Douglas is a slot receiver. So that's not a problem because he can't play the X or Y. He never has. He never will.
All I heard about Schuster was he ran incredibly lazy routes the whole game.
Well, I mean, isn't it kind of alarming that, again, we cannot choose wide receivers? If they had their way, they'd like to drop Thornton and Schuster. Am I wrong here in saying that?
What I don't get about it, right? Schuster has an assignment. He's been around the league forever, right? Run your route. They give you a route. Your job is to run that route crisply. How does a guy like that go out and not run Chris Brutes? I mean, is
Opening day.
it
Well, I think he's damaged goods. I think he's injured. And
Yeah.
everyone said the guy was injured. That's his problem. And he's already got a bad knee, right? I got an idea though. Chaim Bloom comes in as a wide receiver drafting specialist for the Patriots. He outsources. You say to Chaim, do only one thing. The only thing that we want you to pay attention to is college wide receivers and pro wide receivers.
Speaking
And
of
do
wide
nothing else,
receivers,
and you can draft them.
speaking of wide receivers, will we see Thornton on the field this year?
Yes.
I think you're going to.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
he's on the injured list now. Doesn't he have to?
yeah, he's got
It'll
4
be a
weeks.
while.
He'll be in week 5. He'll be back.
But he's going to be.
They'll
He's
put
going to.
Schuster.
He doesn't.
They just, do you think they have just Thornton?
Well, he
living in-
plays the Y. He doesn't play the same position as Schuster.
Do they got Thornton just living in the weight room drinking milkshakes 18 hours a day right now?
I don't know.
Look, Thornton's going to get cut.
I've
He's
looked.
a training camp cut next year if he
Yeah,
doesn't.
I think that's right.
He's only on the
Yeah.
team because they're paying him second draft pick money, and they still got to pay him for at least the next year, no matter what.
But listen, though, here's the good news. Bourne played well. Douglas played well. Boutte couldn't get his feet down, but I mean, he played a lot of snaps.
Hunter
He
Henry.
thought he was playing college ball.
Hunter-
you only need
Hunter-
1 foot bound.
Hunter freaking Henry with that catch was good. Gesicki made it. Like I didn't look at that. You know, to your point, Scotty, they had some big drops, but I didn't look
Yeah,
at that
Hunter
game
had a
saying
big
like
drop.
I didn't look at that game saying their wide receivers aren't competitive. I think they've got
You know,
I
we
think they've
talked
got a B- set of wide receivers.
Yeah,
we talked about last week, if they lost, how would we feel? Or if they won, how would we feel? And I think the mood was, if they lost, it was how they lost. If they lost, looking competitive, we wouldn't be ready to, jump off the ship yet. So I'm encouraged. I am encouraged.
Oh, I think there's every reason to be encouraged. It was a different offense, and the defense is just going to get better. The defense will win them 6 games just in itself.
Hey, how about this kid catching the punts, man? Is he have a suicide wish or what?
Marcus Jones, yeah.
Oh my God!
You see what happened? Then he fair catches when he should have ran, and they
Yeah.
showed the sideline, and Troy Brown's looking at him like, "What?" Now all of a sudden you're fair catching. Yeah, it was the Eagles. Those 2 guys were on top of them. Those were incredible special teams plays.
God.
I mean, how do you not get a penalty on either of those plays? They hopefully, Marcus Jones is an asset, and he'll prove to be. But that punter is an asset too.
Yeah.
Oh my! He's a
Head
game
and shoulders above last year.
He changes the field.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I think our in-game coaching left a little bit to be desired, though. I mean, kick the field goal earlier, 4th and 17. You're going for it. What are we doing? Like, you either gotta, if he played that game differently, they would have won it. Belichick.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
he
4th
almost-
and 17. It just live to fight another day.
He
you
almost
know?
didn't throw the flag. He almost missed the opportunity on that reversal of the catch.
Right.
He hesitated. I think we need a new flag thrower. Can we
Well,
get a
no,
young person
it's
at a
someone
71-year-old?
upstairs that makes that call.
Are we
Scotty.
gonna
Someone
talk-
upstairs makes that.
Are we going to talk about the Jets at all here?
All right, let's talk about in the most. We've talked about this. We said Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets was the most Jets thing the Jets could do, and he doesn't even get to throw a pass. He's injured 4 plays into and blows his Achilles out. Jets.
So I'll tell you, as soon as it happened, I went onto the Jets fan blog website, and it was 12 hours before the game. Thousands and thousands of posts. This is the year we're finally going to do it. He's going to lead us to the promise, and then boom, suicide notes and
Suicide notes.
How could the Bills blow that game? They were in control and they just stopped playing.
Well, that game was the best thing that happened to the Patriots over the weekend. All of a
Best
sudden,
thing that could happen to the Jets because now
Aaron Rodgers is down, so the Jets is they're really not competitive anymore. And then the Bills look,
Bills will
Allen
start
looked
0-1
terrible.
too.
I mean,
Boy.
he looked, I think it's what, 4
And
interceptions?
I'll tell you, that Bills quarterback is not going to last very long, taking on linebackers every seventh or eighth play.
Well, he is bigger than most linebackers.
He is, Joe, but there's some hard hitting linebackers out
Oh
there.
yeah, some
No.
killers out there.
That just shows
Yeah.
that shows how big this game is on Sunday. I think that you beat the Dolphins, you're feeling really good about the division.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
It's one of those like fulcrum games, right? You got to figure you'll beat the Jets and Zach Wilson, right? So if you can figure out a way to beat the Dolphins on Sunday night, and you're looking at 2-1, and all of a sudden this thing starts to get interesting for the Patriots, right?
Yeah,
Gonna
because
be that's a tough
you know-
order with all 5 starters on the offensive
I
line.
know, Joe. No, I'm not saying they will beat them. I'm like, if you can beat them, though, this season really starts to pivot at that.
That's
point.
a 3 and that kills your defense too, because if
But
you're going 3 and out and the time of possession goes to the Dolphins and that defense is on the field for like 2/3 of the first half, then the second half is a problem.
But you know what's crazy? You know, you would think that with the Jets having happened what happened to them, and the Bills not looking that great against the Jets, and the Patriots win-loss line in Vegas goes down to 6.5.
Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy. Well, there's only 16 games left, but yeah, that's crazy. But look, this season we lost opening day to the Dolphins, and we talked about that the rest of the year, how that affected them record-wise. And so you beat the Dolphins, you've got to win. Because again, losing to the Eagles, a non-division game, a non-conference game,
It's not as important.
It's not that important. The bottom line is, it doesn't hurt
Right.
you.
That's exactly right.
Anything.
Yeah, that's exactly right. This is a big game.
Yeah, this is a huge game. All right, we got to go to the finish up with the Celtics and Bruins quickly. Celtics start in a couple of weeks. What are we? The biggest spotlight will be on Porzingis. Would you agree?
Well,
yeah, for sure.
I just got to get this out of the way. I am extremely worried about what losing Marcus Smart is going to do to the vibe, the overall vibe of this Celtics team. I thought he brought a really, really important vibe to the team. Defensive intensity, will to fight, will to win. I'm worried that he was more important to that state of mind that we've seen from the Celtics the last few years than he's got credit for.
Oh,
I think that's the coach's job, though. That's the coach's job to instill that in your culture.
I don't know.
No, you know whose job it is.
I've played on teams, Joe, where a certain leader on the team was way more important than the coach. On the mental state of the locker room.
Yeah,
you know.
And I'm still out on Missoula myself, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But can I just say one thing? I agree that you need that player, Timmy. Really, it needs to be your best player or your second best player. And Marcus Smart last year was probably their fourth or fifth best player, right?
Give you that.
And what this team really needs is for Tatum to get a little bit more of a killer instinct, Kobe Bryant, and Brown to become more vocal. And I do think, after reading everything and listening to so many podcasts, I think the Celtics recognized that the only way that those two guys, they were going to give those two guys a chance at making their mark on this team was to move Marcus out.
All right, but that's an experiment, and we're going to see how the experiment.
Totally agree with you.
You know,
not clear how it's going to work out, but
yeah,
I don't want my fifth best player being the heart and soul of the team. I want my first best player or the second best player.
And the other one was the 8th best player in Grant.
Right.
They were the 2 months.
Let's hope
right.
Tatum's capable of the task put before him.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think you're more likely to get the grit and balls from Jaylen Brown than from Jason Tatum.
You might be right. I don't know.
I mean, does White pick up that role? I mean, he seems like
a
leader in some sense.
Look, remember what Brown did after Harden beat them in that first game, and they put Jaylen Brown on Harden for the next 3 games, and he just shut his ass down. Like, Harden couldn't do anything against Jaylen Brown last year when they put when they sicked him on him.
But
So,
look, the NBA historically, the best player has been the leader of the team.
yes, has to be. Has to be.
Has, you know,
It's a small unit. That's why it's only 5 guys.
Oh,
and-
but that Miami team, don't they have a guy sitting down the end of the bench who they say is the leader of that team?
Yeah, but he's like a coach.
he's a
he doesn't
cheerleader.
play.
Haslam,
Never
he's a
doesn't play.
cheerleader. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Okay, I'm hoping
He's like
Tatum
Blake
can pick up-
Griffin and
I'm
only
hoping-
plays lefts.
Yeah.
but
I'm
we
hoping
said
Tatum can
this.
pick up the gauntlet. I'm hoping, but
But
I
Timmy,
worry about it. I
we were
really do.
saying this when we went down 3-0 against Miami. This team needs a makeover. This team doesn't
Yes.
have any heart. So, I mean, we were saying it already. We were writing their obituary for that season, and we said exactly what we perceived
All right,
Brad did, and this was the movie he had to make.
Scotty, there's a lot of talent in the NBA, you know. And I wondered if Marcus Smart was the magic ingredient that got the Celtics into those finals and, you know, into those Eastern Conference finals. It got them far. They've gone pretty far the last few years. I mean, we were disappointed with the loss to Miami this year, obviously, but they have gone further consistently than just about any team around, right? And I wonder how much Marcus Smart had to do with that.
Well, he played a role. Of course he did. I mean,
Well,
but
last year he didn't have much to do with it, Tim.
no, that's
He
right.
really wasn't much of a player last year. He played no defense, played no offense. 90% of the game, he was coasting up and down the floor.
He was.
We shall see. I'm a little worried about it.
All right,
He
boys.
gave his big mouth roll over to Grant last year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Grant. I had to stop following Grant because they just showed a picture where he bought a house in Dallas. I think he's all set. He's got a $55 million in the bank guaranteed. He's gonna make Jared Sullinger look slim by
They don't
of
have
that contract.
dispensaries in Dallas, do they?
He's
Is
gonna
it-
be high.
Is it legal in Dallas? Is it legal in Texas?
No.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
He's gonna have to get into
He'll
prescription.
be on the road a lot.
Yeah. All right, we finish up with the Bruins. It's coming. The season is ahead of us.
Thank
Seems like
God.
First preseason is the 24th. It's in less
Yep.
than
That's
10 days.
crazy.
we got a lot of young players that we're not talking about, the Beechers and the Lazells of the world. Could there be some surprises in the final roster before as they
hope
finish
so.
training camp? Is this time for an infusion of some young blood that we're not thinking about?
A rebuilding year?
That would be great. I mean, Timmy, who do you think? Beecher, Lysell, Lowry, Steen. Like, who's coming up?
I could see Lazelle making the club just for his scoring touch. You
Yeah.
know, I talk about it a lot. You know, that those guys that just know how to put the puck in the net. You know, you put 2 bruisers next to him, and you stick him out there to you know finish the plays off.
You
to
put
the
him?
puck.
Are you putting him at center, Tim?
Well, no, you put him with two tough guys though. That's what I would
Okay,
put him.
two veterans, anyways, guys that
Yeah.
know the score.
Yeah, and let him use his magic around the net to put goals in the net.
Do you think they acquired a number of these veterans, and they've acquired some guys, and a lot of these guys are going to end up on the 7th floor most nights, and they're going to be playing these young guys?
I don't know, really. Tell you the truth.
Yeah, I think that's going to work itself out in training camp. They're going to probably take a look and say, are we better off in using this as a bridge year, or are we better off at, trying to get ourselves into the, conference finals or something?
Because I think they could still make the playoffs, but I don't see
yeah,
them
they should be
going
able to make the
anywhere.
playoffs.
Is
Right.
it worth sacrificing your youth to just get to the playoffs and get bombed out in the first
Hey,
round?
Oh, they might as well go for it because they don't even have their first round pick. So,
Listen, we have a solid defensive core. We have solid
Yes.
goaltending. This team's gonna compete.
if you can go back in time and I'll finish this with this last question. We were talking a year ago, we were not that positive about the Bruins. Are we
Mhm.
more positive about the Bruins this year than we were last year?
No.
And they ended up having the best record in the history of hockey.
Right.
I tell you, I'm still pretty positive about them. I mean, it shows you that winning that President's Trophy means squat. You know what I mean? I feel pretty good about them. I think they're going to put a good product out there. I think we're going to win more than we lose.
Because I've known you guys for a long time, and I've never seen you guys more excited during the regular season of a Bruins regular season than you guys were on a night-to-night.
How could you not be? I mean, that was historic. What they were doing was ridiculous.
No team
It
has
was,
ever
it was
done
like
it.
yeah.
They just
like the
ran into a
71
buzzsaw on Matthew Kachuk that just
Well, they should allow
Bergeron got
one
injured
player
and
to-
Montgomery fouled it up. Like Bergeron and Montgomery were the problems, right?
They,
All right, boys, that's
they messed it up.
yeah, they did mess it up. That's our show for tonight. I want to thank the fellas. Please check us out on our website at thegrandstanders.com. And apparently we're coming back to big TV in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned. We'll be back in the studio, which means possibly the arrival again of Handsome Todd, which is just in his own self a reason to tune in. My name's Scott.
He'll fly in on the jet from Manhattan.
Exactly.
Maybe helicopter. Helicopter's always an option.
My name's Scott.
or a
Griffin.
chauffeur-driven
Happy night.
Bentley.